Okay, so this review can go either way. One, it goes down with me berating it and not giving it a chance to explain for its redeeming features. Or two, a real review from an average person's perspective who has used Android for all his life. And I chose two because I'm not Twitter. Or whatever the hell is algebraic expression named X. With all things to be reviewed, it is always ideal to start with the great things on the phone itself, even if most think there's nothing good about an SE5G. Alright, the good. Nothing. Nada. Zero. Ling. No, I'm just joking around. My first impression of this phone is its unmatchable build quality, expected from Apple, but I didn't know how solid the cheapest, newest iPhone can feel. There's like zero, and I mean zero, separation between the back glass, the almost invisible plastic buffer that is continued to the antenna breaks. To the side of the phone is where you find the gold-tinted aluminum frame that fits so well the black front of the plastic buffer around the screen. And the screen. Now you may have noticed that I haven't switched the display on. And here it is. Welcome to bezel hell. Now at this point, it is valid that it's being hated for not having a modern screen design, but for someone who's dated a S7 for 3 years before the S21 and really want to see Samsung's answer to this is, you can tell I still love classic looking phones, and the SE is the only new phone that offers that. Just such a pity that the S7 has such a close, perfect display for its time and a stunning 577 1440p Super AMOLED display. 577. Now of course this is measured before the effective pixel density of OLED displays, so that's around 400 plus ppi after effective OLED density. Oh, and it's 855 nits of max brightness compared to 625 nits on the SE. 这是几点 S7 躺赢 SE 惨败 Oh, and the S7 has a higher screen to body ratio than the SE. Now look, LCD may be a relic of the past, but LCDs do not tire out your eyes as well as OLED does. So that may be the reason why people still love LCD. But me personally, I can't stand the inability to picture perfect pure blacks on LCD displays. Now what's in front, aside from the gigantic forehead and chin ready to grow a damn beard, is the home button. You can see the home button because this thing is not alive and it doesn't grow a beard. So click on it, it's a button. Switch it off and your phone feels broken. It's been like this since the 7th. Why? Simple. Unscrew two pentalobe, hit out the IP67 certified phone, open to the right and you see its X-axis haptic motor. Now what's got all this got to do with the home button? The motor is the home button. That is the home button. And that is pretty damn good because the home button presses feel so satisfying to press, and haptic motor in general, 干净利落. Compare it to the Z-axis found on the S7 or the S21, and you'll see why the haptics of the SE to me feels unmatched. With a string attached. You can't set its vibration intensity, but you can set the intensity of the home button click. That I'll come back to it later. Why is that so? Saya tak tahu. Could it be the 2018 mAh battery? Not really. Why? The battery on my end is phenomenal. Most SE users I've interacted with told me that it does have great battery life despite its uninspiring battery size and its party size. So I have to say one thing, by the way, and this is my usage, and everyone's usage is far different than others. Some may get 2 days out of 14 Pro Max and some may get 2 hours of 14 Pro Max. Now with that said, this implies that I don't charge it as frequently as I need to, and hence a 100% battery health. And my daily use usually is adhered to the 20-80% battery rule. Speaking of charging, this phone charges really fast as well. And I mean, it's literally the benefit of having a small battery and an ability to fast charge. Does charge fast wirelessly, by the way, which is my go-to on this phone. When it comes to overalls of this phone, I do think it's pretty darn exquisite. Plus, small phones tend to have that kind of aura of precision the smaller things get. More work is needed to make it look great. This phone does come in 64, 128 and 256 gigs respectively, which mine's the 64 gig variant, only because I had it planned as a secondary phone and I won't really use it like my primary. So that's less pictures and less important documents for me. Speaking of which, a front 7 megapixel camera that does 1080p 30 and a 12 megapixel rear that can do 4K 60. Not very impressive compared to the S7 on paper, which can do 4K 60 rear camera recording if you have the Exynos version with a custom ROM, 2K 30 front facing recording. But it's sufficient to take fine pictures. It's just that they have a warm tone to them, which I don't really dig the look of. Actually, most iPhones have a warm tone to them. I don't really like how it looks like. But then these cameras, SE2, iPhone 8 stuff. 懂了，苹果环保。Now the speakers are plenty great as well for being a fun size phone like my P. In short, I really enjoy the speakers of the phone. But one thing I need to pick is, if the phone is playing at a very high volume and just so happen to pinch the phone like this, the phone does feel cheap and hollow. Now that I started talking about the things I don't like, we are going to continue the trend of the bad things about this phone. One, almost every phone is built like a sandwich. The SE is no exception, but like every glass iPhone after the 8, except for the 14 Plus and 14, iPhone 4 and 4S, the back glass and frame of this phone, again, except for the 4 models that I excluded out of this list, is built like a unibody device. While this is great for feeling seamless, breaking the glass can result in a super taxing repair, and it costs quite a lump sum too. That's because the glass is very tightly glued to the frame of the phone, which makes it virtually impossible to remove that piece of broken glass with low risk. What does this mean to me personally? I wouldn't dare to take the phone off the case because Apple made swapping out this phone back glasses almost impossible. And how much is one of these back glass replacement cost? Exactly 2. No settings to set the haptic intensity. Apple has unmistakably the best haptic motor ever on a phone, but it's software locked, so it really cannot show its potential. 3. I know I said LCD has its advantages over OLED, like the fact that LCDs do not suffer from burn-ins. Refer to my Note 9 video for that. However, the benefit the SE by a wee bit is that it should use an OLED display. Why? OLEDs are pixels that are self-lit instead of backlit like the LCD from the SE. However, it is smart on Apple's part to have a 750p LCD because of the effective pixel density of OLED. To be precise, 720p OLEDs are only 81% of LCD's 720p due to pixel arrangements. Now, as much as I like to say, I'd rather more contrast ratio on my phone, pure blacks, and more power saving tech than prioritizing sharp displays, especially when I'm too used to OLED phones. For the price, $699 for 64 gigs is a joke. 64 gigs may be enough for my use case because it's a secondary. Now if you check my main phone, the S21, I have used 180 plus gigs out of 256 of it, and I have touched 200 gigs before. That means it clearly isn't enough for most people at 65 gigs of storage. Like, at least 128? How can a phone like this get away with being $700 when the competition is $500 with $500 gets you so much more, while you pay for so much less? Very simple. Android phones run on Android. Apple iPhones, they are the only ones running iOS. So really, the competition of phones running iOS under $700 is zero. Android phones, A54, A34, Nothing Phone 1 and 2, Pixel 6a, 7a, and so much more. Yes, I mean, if you actually move those Android phones over to iOS, I bet you the bottom dollar that people would much rather go for those Android phones rather than 16 to 9 ancient looking phones that is released today. Now, is the SE a horrendous phone for what you get? To some extent, I argue it isn't a horrible deal. It does have a reason to exist, like the fact that there are people out there who still want a home button enabled phone, and there are people who actually can't stand OLED phones, especially with its PWM dimming. And of course, there are people who, like me, wants to give iOS a try, with the assurance that battery isn't an issue when testing out iPhones. Horrible? Yeah, I mean, the SE is a phone with an outdated design. Possibly outdated cameras that are still fine for plenty, including me, but no night shots is a deal breaker. I mean, even a Note 9 from a few years back has night mode. All in all, I really don't think the SE deserves the hate, unless I look at the SE from my tech nerd's perspective. But I am standing at a regular consumer's point of view, or rather, a regular iPhone user's point of view. No 120Hz? I don't care. Check my S21. It's got 120Hz off because I can't tell the difference between 60 and 120. So switching it off is valid, especially if I want to squeeze out every second of my battery life. Now, what a tech nerd knows is what matters to a tech nerd, not a regular consumer. They don't know what's an OLED display or LCD display. They don't know more cameras does not equal to image quality. They don't know what type of in-display fingerprint readers there are on phones. They don't know if phones now can reverse wireless charge other phones or even support wireless charging. They don't even know what's an Apple A15 Bionic, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and whatnot. All they know is a phone that does things reliably. A phone that, calls as a multimedia machine. Do we really need 8 Gen 2 just to scroll threads or Instagram or whatever hell X is? Okay. Verdict. Will I switch to an iPhone? No. I really think Android phones are more suitable for me. That's it. Both iOS and Android powered devices have their own pros and cons, and I just so to choose Android because I really prefer using Android. There's nothing right or wrong going which way, so really it's just more of a personal choice. Okay, before I end this video, serious talk now, let me throw in my opinion on the tech world. People's money, okay? People buy what they like with their money. Don't judge because it's their money and everyone's use case is unique to their own. Just because they got a phone you don't like doesn't mean you should berate them for owning that phone. They own a phone because it suits them best, and at the end of the day, phones are personal belongings. Let people enjoy what they like and not dictate what people should like. Recommendations are fine, but don't be toxic. Technology is built to connect with people and not repel people.